Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, the biggest YouTube channel of sports football on the YouTubes. Today we're breaking down the Manchester United against Fulham, and it's the first time United haven't won at Craven Cottage in 15 years, as you're probably well aware by the title of the video. But there's a couple of interesting things about United. Now, I stopped here right at the start because I want to show you the body language, and I'm going to go through these because there's so much dodgy penalty, not penalty. Yeah, this is bad. I mean, we know the refereeing is terrible, but some of the stuff in this game is unbelievable. But I'm showing you this here because I'm just showing you Amarin's wanting to play this, style out of the back and doing this. Everyone's yelling at the keeper, trying to knock the ball forward. And this is the problem when you've got a poor last season and now you've gone through your pre-season and now you're coming into the season and you're not getting results. All of a sudden, all that dissent in the team starts to come back. And you can see it, like, they don't trust this poor kiddie. And United are probably going to try to look for a keeper in the meantime. But you can't be acting like this on a field if you want to try to give these people confidence and try to actually sort of have a momentum as the season goes. But let's get into some of these decisions because they're awful. Like, here's the problem, okay? You've got one player there. Is he pushing and shoving? Yeah. But there's another player there tackling and shoving the other player. Like this, I don't know how they reviewed this and gone, this is a penalty. Because unfortunately, what happens in football, you're going, yeah, is that a foul? Maybe, but that definitely is a foul over there. So you've got maybe a foul and definitely a foul, or definitely a foul and definitely a foul, or a maybe and a maybe. Oh, look at us zoom in and not know how we do that. So ultimately, you just have to scratch it and go, well, yeah, he's pushing and shoving. Yeah, and he's pushing and shoving. So it's not a penalty. It's not a foul. Look, both players are trying to tackle and dive. And it's just awful refereeing because basically both teams are doing the exact same thing. You've got, I think, Luke Shaw's wrestled a player to the ground. I think Mason Mount's been thrown to the ground over here. Both teams are doing it. You can't call a penalty when both teams are fouling, doing the exact same in the box. That's called bias. Yeah, that's very interesting when they're allowed to shove you to the ground, but if you do it to them, it's a penalty. That's bias. That's favouring one team over another. And I don't care what colour the shirt is, couldn't care less what name's on the back. That is bias refereeing. Two idiots and from both teams are fighting, and it's just like, okay, both teams are idiots, play on. That's exactly what you have to do in this situation. You don't go, oh, we're giving a free kick to the defending team because one of the defenders has been wrestled to the ground here, or we're giving a penalty to the attacking team because one player's been wrestled down here. You go, stop it. Stop it. And you're lucky I don't give all four of you yellow cards. That's what you do. But no, penalty, complete and utter bias. Unbelievable. I don't know what this penalty was as well. Got no idea. Little Bruno Fernandes is normally quite good at doing these, and he's just blasted that. He doesn't do that. He doesn't blast it. He places it. He does this little steppy step, and then places it into the corner. That was shocking. Don't know what possessed him to do that in any way. Like, that's awful. But yeah, let's move it on. Two hands on the back of a defender, but this time, oh look, you're allowed to shove him over. Apparently, you can shove players over in the box with two hands on their back. That's completely acceptable now in the Premier League. Now, here's the other problem as well, because people are not honest. If you're a Man United fan, you go, that's never a foul. But it is, and you know it. Because if it went the other way, you'd be going, that's a foul. They've scored on us because they're cheating. They've pushed us in the box. VAR should have intervened on that. Both hands on his back, shoved him to the ground, got a free header. Did it take a deflection and go in? Yeah, it did actually. The header was probably going wide. But look, you can't put two hands on someone. You can see there it's probably going wide, deflection off the back. And I quite like on these things as well, you don't give own goals. I prefer it to go to the guy that's headed the ball than some poor random defender that's got his back to it that's knocked it in, But that's a foul. It's not a goal. Just like the penalty wasn't a penalty. It's unbelievable. But the problem you've got is what will happen is there'll be another game in quick succession and everyone will go, oh, and forget about this. I mean, this is awful. Absolutely awful. You can't convince me putting two hands on a player and pushing them over isn't a foul. You just can't. Just like in the old was it Burnley game, you can't slap someone in the face and convince me that's not a red card. It is. Okay. Oh, let's just completely mess that up. Right. So one of the biggest things when I was coaching coming into a team is teaching them not to do this. Right. You are facing which way? That way. You've all heard the rule of play the way you're facing, which I completely and utterly disagree. I always say face the way you want to play, and then you can play the way you're facing. So he wants to play this way, but he's facing that way. So what you have to do is play that way. You do not make silly little turns like this. The amount of goals teams concede because they do things like this in midfield. I think I was covering them earlier today. Nottingham Forest did the same thing in midfield, trying to do a little quick back heel flick through someone's legs and got caught out. Or it might have been Crystal. Someone else did it this weekend. You do not try to do a little pivot turn like that. You just don't. You keep the ball and you knock it there because he's in acres of space. Then you get the ball back. You're spinning into an area that you don't know what's behind you. You're not really that good enough to beat somebody for pace, and now you've just lost the football. This is the error that causes the goal. There's another problem with Bruno Fernandes being awful, but that's the problem, because that'll happen again next week and the week after and with the week after. That problem there. You cannot have players trying to turn in the midfield like that aren't midfielders, that don't know what they're doing. I think this guy plays out wide. You can't do that. You just give the ball simple. That is a problem inherent. That means he's been doing that for pretty much most of his time and no one's called him on it. It's an awful, awful take, awful touch, and now he's lost the ball. So I've got to move my camera over this side so I can show you this. Look at this, right? He is clearly looking at the player, right? This is why I would never, ever, ever have a player like Bruno Fernandes in my team. He's supposed to be your leader, supposed to be your captain, and he doesn't put in any effort whatsoever. He just complains to the referee, tries to play Hollywood balls, and then runs. There's one of these things, right, with statistics, and this is one of the biggest problems with sports analytics and sports data. It'll always look like he's run around a lot, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't actually do anything. There's a difference when there's certain things, because you can pad your stats and be statistically a good player, but you're not actually a good football player. And to me, he's one of these players. He's not a midfielder. I don't know why they keep putting him in midfield. It causes more and more problems. Midfielders are runners. They see situations, they track the players back, they break forward. He doesn't track players back. I've never seen him do it ever. So I don't know why Ruben Amorim plays him in this situation, because you know he isn't going to do anything. He's not going to track back. He just stands around quite a bit, maybe pressures a little bit, but I'm telling you, putting him in midfield is a death sentence for United this season. Look, he's had a little look and he's taken a couple of steps back to keep Smith Rowe in front of him. He's trying to get it so he can see the player and the ball, okay, which is decent. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Take a couple of steps so I can keep seeing the player and seeing the ball, so I don't have to turn my head. He doesn't get in behind me, and when he makes his run, I can run with him and stop him receiving the ball. Now, we can complain about the lack of pressure on the ball from United, but the ball was just turned over here. It is quite quick, but they should have had more pressure on the ball. Remember, I think it's Dalot lost the ball first. He should still be here, but there's no way anyone is anywhere close enough to stop this cross coming in. Meanwhile, you've got players here. Three sneaking in. I'm not a fan of when you play with a back three as well, because watch, he'll come out of position and go over here, and it'll leave a massive gap in the middle. As we move this on, look, boom, you can see the run. Boom, there we go. Do you see how he stepped forward to the player on the front post, which is exactly what he should be doing? Now, what should be happening is the next defender should already be moving. As he's moving, takes 2 steps. This guy should be in unison, taking 2 steps, like he's on a string that's 10 yards. As soon as it goes 12 yards, you're too far away. You needed to be closer. He's too far away. Look at that space. He's run past Fernandes now. And you know, because you saw him, Fernandes was watching him. He saw him do it. He had that little turn, had a little look, saw he was there, and he carried on walking. Look. Oh, carries on walking, thinking someone else is going to do his job. And then what he'll do is blame everybody else on his team. Do you know what you do if you're a leader? You lead from what you do on the football field. One of the biggest rules you can learn in life is not listening to what people say, it's what they do. What they do is who they are. What they say is normally nonsense. As it goes in, look, completely stopped. There's no even sort of a token, oh, I'm going to make it look like I'm close to the player, so at least it kind of looks like I'm putting in some effort. Nah, just completely gives up. There he goes. Head back. Oh, and now this is the problem. I think it's here. This play here, Delit. I think it is his reaction. One of their reactions. A couple of them are just like absolutely super annoyed, and the reason, but it's a good reason they're super annoyed, by the way. But also that now is going to flood into next week and week after and the week after, and the pressure starts to mount because of your body language. You can see how disappointed and upset everyone is, and the problem is at United they play the blame game. They're not a team that rally around and go, right, let's go and build again. We're going to build from this and go forward. Historically, over the last couple of years, look at them. Look at his arms. Everyone starts to play the blame game. And it'll get worse next week, and it'll get worse the week after, and it'll get worse the week after that. The only way it doesn't happen is if they start to pick up wins. That's the only thing that will save you, is get some wins. And the reason for that is there's a bucket, right? I always call it the win-loss bucket. You need 2 wins to overcome 1 loss. So if you think of that psychology-wise, right, that 1 win can't be eradicated by 1 loss can't be eradicated by 1 win. And you're going to say, oh, but this is only a tie, Cash. It's not a lot. Yeah, it should have been a win. All right, it should have been a win. You take this as a loss because you're Man United playing at Craven Cottage against Fulham. Unless you're relegating yourself to Man United now as in a relegation battle and trying to get out, of the into the mid-table, which is not a standard that Man United should ever be setting themselves. This is classed as a loss because you needed 3 points. All of a sudden, when you're in that, then why you need 2 wins to overcome the loss is because of the feel-good factor to cover up that loss takes that much. So when you get constant losses, say if you get 2 losses, now you need 4 wins to try to break that psychological barrier, and it goes on and on and on and on. That's where you get teams and they start crumbling and collapsing. It's because they've had so many bad results in a row. The wins don't counteract it. The only way that really works is if you've got actual proper teamwork. If you look at some of these championship teams, you can see that they stay stable up until about sort of Christmas, maybe January, and then the collapse starts to happen because they've had too many losses and too many draws and not enough wins to keep up that momentum as they go through. But that's a whole thing I might talk about on one of my Monday night shows, 8 o'clock live here on the largest YouTube channel in all of the YouTubes. And I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.